Have you ever wanted something with as much tenacity as an Olympian wants a gold medal? Because when we are that clear on what we want, it drives the actions that we'll take in order to get it. That's the moment-shifting question that today's guest faced that started to change everything for her. I'm Ali Hill and welcome to Stand Out Life, a podcast dedicated to exploring what does it take to live boldly amongst the mess and the busyness of our world. A few years ago, I did a 5-day hike in the Larapinta Trail and I met this amazing woman who oozed energy, warmth and a real down-to-earth quality that was absolutely magnetic. We got the chance to hang out on the trails and under these amazing stars. But it wasn't until we had returned to our regular lives that I discovered what she actually does. Kat John is an authenticity coach, a speaker, a podcast host, and an international author who inspires legends all around the world to reconnect with their true selves and transform their own lives. In this interview, we talk about Kat's background and what brought her into this work. We also talk about the wrestles that she currently faces, like all of us, and some of the tools that she's picked up along the way to confront these wrestles. We talk about her book, which I highly recommend, called Authentic, Coming Home to Your True Self. This book will inspire you to live a life aligned to your deepest and often hidden truths. So please enjoy the energy, the realness, and the sassiness in this interview with Kat John. Hey, real quick, before we dive into today's conversation, if you're a leader or a manager, then I want to tell you about pragmatic thinking. We help people like you doing the hard work of building better cultures, stronger teams, and more confident leaders. How do we do it? Well, we do it using the latest in psychology and behavioural science, combining with nearly 3 decades of experience. So visit pragmaticthinking.com or find the link in the show notes below to find out more. Now, on to today's chat. Kat, welcome. I have been wanting to have this conversation with you for a while, so really excited to see where we might head and what might come out.
Oh, that's interesting.
For me as much as anything. There's a lot of angles and pieces of the conversation that we'll dive into, but I want to start something a little bit maybe different to you've been asked previously. I feel like if I look through a lot of your work and even piece together some of your kind of story, and we'll talk a little bit about that, but one of the things that feels really connected or is a bit of a thread, and truthfully it is for a lot of us, is a connection to music. I'd love to know, tell me about your relationship with music. Where did it come from? Has it evolved? Has it changed?
Oh, such a good question. And thank you for asking me like not I guess a typical question that I would get asked, because music is such it's everything to me. And so thank you for noticing that. Thank you for noticing that. I think my relationship to music, look, as a little girl, I've always been expressive, much to my parents' at times frustration. I was always that, wanting to express, sing, dance. It could come from my mother's bloodline. She's Filipino, and they can sing and they can dance. My gosh, they can sing and they can dance. But also, I remember my nana on my dad's side, she always used to sing. We'd go to her place on a Sunday and she'd cook a, beautiful dinner, and she'd make all these beautiful desserts, and she would always be singing. And her favorite song is Que Sera, Sera, whatever will be, will be. And she's now passed, and I find myself in my kitchen now playing that song, thinking of her, often with tears in my eyes. So music was definitely around, and like I said, in my bloodline from the Filipino side. But I have danced. I was in dancing school from 4. So I was doing tap, I was doing jazz, I was doing ballet, and I just loved it. I absolutely, I loved it. I'm like, you see videos of me as this kid, just with my tongue hanging out, with the joy, smile on my face, right up front, we're doing the little can. But I guess across the years, where it took me was it allowed me to feel things that I couldn't name, especially in adolescence and early, sort of 20s, when I was very unaware and unable to name certain emotions or feelings. Music allowed me to access the feeling. The songs had the words that I couldn't quite put together, and really allowed me to feel what I needed to feel. So that's where the relationship with it probably deepened.
I think that's true for so many of us, where we don't find the language, and there'll be a phrase or a beat or a lick in a lyric that will almost just define what we can't express. And sometimes that's the hardest of hard things, and sometimes it's the highest of joys, that I think is part of what that connection with music. But I also love where you've shared that lineage, that the interwovenness in our relationships with the families that we belong to, the connections with the spirits of others, and how powerful that can be. You described yourself as being an expressive 4-year-old. I too went to dance class. I was not the one up front, so I bought admission quickly. So what was it about that expressive child, I think, that even now, and we're going to talk a little bit about, stepping into an authentic life, but sometimes I think it's almost coming back to that 4-year-old version of us. What is it about her now that you look back on in terms of how she expressed and how she turned up?
I look back at her, and especially when I see photos or videos, particularly prior to the age of 6, where I could feel her freedom. I could feel her freedom in whatever she felt, she allowed herself to feel. Whatever she wanted to express, she allowed herself to express. If she was sad, she let people know about it. And if she was joyful and happy, she absolutely let people know about it. And it's been a long, long ass journey. I'm turning 40 this year. 36 years of coming back to her, like for real. Really before life started to come and infiltrate that uninhibited little girl. Then I started to make changes. I started to morph and tweak, etc., myself to be someone that I was never meant to be. So yeah, it's been a journey back to her.
Yeah, almost even as you're describing that, I can see that movement away from her. And certainly your story is marred with hardships and bits that have been hard, some by life turning up, and sometimes we turn towards the hard because fuck it, why not? Because there's almost this angst and anger around it. And some of your story is connected to living with drugs and going down that path, chronic pain and those kinds of experiences. Was there a moment for you? And again, I guess what I'm imagining, it feels so far removed from that expressive 4-year-old, where you kind of went, actually, this is no longer who I am. Was there a moment, or was it a passage of experiences?
Yeah, it's sort of both. Sort of both. I would say that when I was like 10, 11, 12, a memory from when I was a young girl, from when I was 6 years old, which I write about and share about in my book, where a family friend sexually abused me and my brother. Not that I knew or he knew at the time that was happening to either of us, but it was around that time when it came, the memory of it came back. And I guess it was the first time where, I don't know, I started to have this, okay, that person's like that, I'm like this, I don't know, they're prettier than me, they're skinnier than me, they're smarter than me. It was sort of the first time, maybe even a little bit younger, where I just this narrative started to talk at me, this relentless narrative of, you know, like I said, you're not good enough, you're not this enough, you should be taller, you should be shorter, you've got pimples on your face. And because you've got pimples on your face, people don't love you, people don't like you. And I guess as a result of that, which maybe a lot of us go through during that young time of our life, moving into adolescence, my need to please was just rife. I was always part of the cool group. I was always like one of the cool people. I always had friends and those kinds of things. But there were always like one or two people who were like the people, you know, the cool people. And I would do pretty much just about anything to be liked by them, to be accepted by them, to, you know, I remember going to school and I would literally go up to school and be like, am I going to be part of the group today or am I not going to be part of the group today? So if I want to be part of the group today, I needed to read what their behavior was like and try and act accordingly to how I could be accepted. So I got very, very, very good. And this is probably also due to just, you know, being in a family as well, where my particular family that I grew up in weren't expressive people. So I also feel like I came here to be the expressive one and shake some shit up in my family.
Yeah.
I got very used to reading people and reading the room and reading the energy of the room, which is a true blessing and sometimes really freaking difficult. Really difficult.
Exhausting.
Because it's exhausting. It's absolutely exhausting because it's like, oh, okay, what's everyone up to? How does the room feel? How do I need to be? What do I need to do to bring peace to it, to bring joy to it, to bring harmony to it, to bring whatever to it? So it was around that time where, even though I was, you know, mostly not conscious, I was aware of this something in me, voice, I didn't know what the hell it was back then, that was really running the show. And I was an absolute servant to it.
The importance of being vigilant and, as you say, almost relentless at being able to kind of read a room and morph to what is required through. And thank you for sharing that tough experience of the experience of going through the abuse. But it's also so important. That's almost like a protective mechanism, right? To go, well, who do I need to be for the people that are in this room, and how do I actually continue to kind of support that? Where 100%. Else did some of that, I guess, turn up for you? You look back and go, that's not who I wanted to be, but it also needed to serve a purpose for that time, and then that kind of transition to go, okay, I need to break away from this. How else did that kind of turn up for you?
It came up in the way of, like, whenever a guy would be interested in me, I would not even consider within myself if I was interested in them, and would just kind of, oh, cool, go along with it. So it's interesting, like from that experience as a 6-year-old, sort of two pathways developed. One was try and keep yourself safe at all costs. So whatever that means, do. If that means that you need to be self-sufficient and Little Miss Independent, you do it. If that means that you need to go with the flow because that flow will keep you safe, then go with that flow. And then the other was this pathway of, I must be the worst person in the world for that to happen to. I must have done something very bad. I must have done something very wrong. I must be a bad girl. Something must be wrong with me. And so the self-loathing was, unfortunately, like, that's my go-to place, you know, that just to make myself way less than. And so as a result of that, like, so if a guy liked me, one, I would feel like the need to go along with it, because what if I didn't, then I might not be safe. But two, it's also, well, I might not get chosen by anyone else because I'm broken and defective, and I better just go along with it. So it really played out a lot in relationships, but because I guess with this particular person, as a 6-year-old, that was my first experience in, like, an intimate relationship. Not that it was a relationship, but and it unfortunately it skewed a lot of my view of self, and then a lot of my view on relationships and what was acceptable, what I could tolerate, what I didn't have to tolerate, what I could accept, what I shouldn't accept. And yeah, it really, really, for me, it really played out in friendships and intimate relationships.
And it makes sense when you describe those two pathways of actually going how do I be safe and what do I need to do here? And the word that came to mind for me, and it's certainly I know I've had experiences where you kind of go, I should just be grateful. I should just be grateful for the little morsel that I get. And so, as opposed to, actually, this is not what I want.
Oh, yeah, it's like, this is as good as it's going to get. So take, this is your life, take it. And it's
right.
Like, hang on, but do I actually want it?
Yeah, yeah. So you've written a book and authored a book, which is so powerful. It's called Authentic, with the tagline, Coming Home to Your True Self. And even what we've kind of been talking and describing was that real shift of having to morph because of the circumstances, but also you add in the layer of adolescence, early adulthood, trying to figure out who we are in the world anyway. Sometimes with not great role models around us, sometimes certainly not with the language to even understand what that might look like. What does being, and I think I know the answer, but I'm really curious because you've dived into this and sat into it so long, what does being authentic mean to you? And maybe even if we were center it into 2025, so into this year, what does authenticity mean to you?
For me, and I guess it's been an ever-changing evolution of it. Authentic for me at 20 would look very different to authentic to me now. So I love that you have centered it into this year. Where it lands for me, and where it has been for some period of time, is it's the ability to be at ease and relaxed within myself. So when I walk into a room, if it's a luncheon or if I'm meeting new people or if it's a talk, okay, hang on, am I relaxed in my body? Am I at ease in my body? Or am I tensing up? Am I tightening up my tummy? Am I clenching up my jaw? Am I going tight in my shoulders? And if I am, then how much more relaxed and at ease can I be? And if I'm finding it hard, why am I finding it hard? What story am I telling myself? Am I telling myself that I don't belong in this room? Am I telling myself that I'm not as smart as these people? Am I telling myself that if I'm speaking, I better make it a good one, because if you don't, then, your career is over. So anything basically that's outside of being at ease and relaxed is trying to force me into a version of, and this is always my pain point, who do I think they need me to be? And I'll be it. So that's my own projection, right? That's my own projection. So I'm thinking, okay, cool. This is like a more relaxed group, so I can be more funny. I'll be more funny. Or this is a more serious group, so I better pull out the stats more. And it's like, hang on. No, wait. If I was relaxed and at ease within myself, where would I share from? How would I show up here? So for me, it is the metric that I use now is how relaxed and at ease. How relaxed and at ease am I?
That feels really tangible and an opportunity just to sit and tune in. Because even the idea of being authentic scares the shit out of some people, right? Like, but what if, I don't even like me authentic, or what if, so just even in that moment feels really tangible. What have you experienced, but also what have you heard from people that you coach and work alongside and have been in front of rooms with about what does it feel in our body when we are being inauthentic? And so it might be the opposite of calm, but what is it that might be some of those things that we can pay attention to?
A lot of the people that I serve, they are, the women that I serve, they're go-getters. They are go-getters, they are forces to be reckoned with, and they have built some pretty awesome lives, some really great lives. but they reach a point where there is this void, and they can, I guess when they start to do this work, they start to notice what's behind or what's driving the force for them to go after what they're going after that actually doesn't mirror or match what they really want to go after, what really matters to them, what's really important to them. So it's again, it's sort of that relentless, come on, up you get, come on, up you get, come on, up you get. If you're not doing this, and what are you doing? If you're not doing this, you're being lazy. If you're not doing this, you're adding no value. If you're not doing this, you're not successful. If you're not doing this, you're not creating what's deemed to be a super successful life. So it's like someone has got a crack whip on them, and they're whipping them into line whenever they might want to take a breather, take a break, take a reset, take a moment to reflect, reconsider what they're up to, reconsider what's going on, reconsider the pace and rhythm they're going about their life. There's this part that just kind of, shakes them back into, okay, getting uptight, rigid again, routined again. So there's little room to relax.
Mm. Yeah.
That's very common with the women I see.
That sense of something else, or I've just got to keep on top of it, and a little room to relax. I think it's a powerful, will resonate with a lot of people listening. As I said before, the idea of, okay, look, I would love to be able to relax, to tune back into that voice or those things that I just know that are more me rather than the things that I'm chasing, but I'm scared. And some of that fear, and I'd love to know if there's any others, but some of that fear that comes to mind when I think about it can be, what if it proves my deepest fear? What if I am lazy? What if my life falls apart? What if the work that I'm doing, I genuinely realize I hate, but I've now created my life around it, and I need the money from it, and I've got responsibilities and expectations, and I would be letting people down. So even start to breathe deeper, there's almost a tension that can kick back in. What do we do with that?
Such a great question. And it's very, very true. Very, very true. Have you read the book, The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying by Bronnie Ware? Yeah.
Yeah, I was able to interview her, actually. Remarkable human.
Beautiful, beautiful human. The first top regret that she talks about was, I wish I lived a life, or that the people that she served talked about was, I wish I lived a life that was true to me. And if you kind of expand that and look at that, I wish I lived a life that was true and authentic to me. I wish I didn't care so much about what I think was right, think was successful, think what I ought to do, care what other people would say about the way I'm living my life. So I very much understand, like, the self that I used to be, who was a registered nurse, who only thought I could be a nurse, who had very many wake-up calls to kind of shake me into my, wait, what do I want for me? Wait, who am I really? Wait, how do I want to go about living my life? So many of those wake-up calls, which then it completely rearranges. It rearranges the way we think. It rearranges the way we see ourselves, our lives, the pace and rhythm we want to live our life, how we want to go about living our life. And like you perfectly said, if we have built a life that requires mortgages to be paid, kids to stay in school, at private schools if they want to stay in, if you want them to be in private schools, a type of lifestyle that is, the way that it is, looking at anything that might question that, that there is validity to want to run for the hills. There is validity in, nah, I'm good. I'll leave that authentic work up to some other people. That's not for me. I'm good. We're fine.
Yeah. I should be grateful.
I should be grateful.
Right? Yeah,
I should be grateful. Everything's good. Why would I change things up? Why would I mess things up? But like I said to you before, when the women who I serve, who are typically 40, 45, sometimes 50, 55, they will come to me and they will say, I've lived the picture of life that we're meant to live, and I don't feel anything. I feel empty. I feel lonely. I feel sad. And they all wish, if I had one top regret from all the people that I've served, it's that they wish they listened to their intuition, their gut, their little something, something inside of them that said, do we really want to be going after this? When they were 25, when they were 28, when they were 32. But they felt that they should have got married, so they should. They felt that they should have kids, so they should buy the house, get the mortgage, etc. And often they end up in places where they just will say, my God, I wish I listened to that voice, because maybe I would have got married still. Maybe I would have bought a house still. Maybe I still would have had kids. But I would have done it with way more me intact, you know? And so therefore, sure, their kids might still go to school. They might still have a mortgage. They might still, whatever it might be, but it might just be way more freaking in line with who they are. You know what I mean?
That sense of not losing themselves along the way.
Correct.
Can be an extra layer of regret.
Correct.
One of your wake-up calls was needing to go through brain surgery, which is not a small experience.
That wasn't a small wake-up call, was it?
No, like most of us get a parking ticket, right? Talk to me about that moment. I guess even that realization that this is the thing in front of me, and what was that a catalyst, or was it just a part of that starting to wake up and listen? But what was that moment like to go, okay, this surgery is going to be a reality?
Yeah. So I was 23 by this time. This was the Sledgehammer. This was the universal big sledgehammer, like what's that? That Marvel character, Thor. With his big thing, whatever he calls it. It was like that, you know. It was that was my culmination of, okay, I've had wake up calls along the way, but I think too, prior to having the brain surgery, I'd lived with chronic pain for 6 years, with chronic nerve pain, and that was eating away at whatever might have been there of me. Still wasn't very aware and conscious. I was doing like Louise Hay's work. I think I was seeing a counselor at the time, but you know, I was still like, my patterns were still running me very, very much. My old ways were still running me. So by the time I was told I needed brain surgery, I didn't like this life very much. I didn't like me. I didn't like life, and just kind of thought, well, I've really pissed off some gods, some karma gods, and must have done something really bad in a past life, because by 23, I just thought, like, are you serious? So I had the surgery. It corrected everything structurally, but what remained was the chronic pain, which was the most frustrating part.
Right.
6 years of waking up with it, living with it, going to bed with it. You know, I was overweight. I was pulling away from life. I was, I was a nightmare to be inside. It was a nightmare to be inside myself. So I was a nightmare to be around, in terms of my energy and my mindset at that time. So it was really when my surgeon said, look, you may just have to learn how to manage this for the rest of your life. Like, it's like, even just saying that, I just can feel the pain of that in my body.
Feels like giving up.
Correct. Yeah, correct. That was like, oh my God, no way. Not a chance. No freaking way. And I was put on some pretty heavy dose medication, which then really blacked out any bit of light or hope that I might have had left. And that was really the scariest part. But that, I don't know, I think it was just this culmination, these like little moments that then led me to reach out to my family, which I wrote about in my book. just saying I need help. Not only am I now in chronic pain, still in chronic pain, but I'm not safe with the thoughts in my head. I don't know how to get out of this, but I need to sort out my mental health. So when I then met the professor of neurology, who gave me the key, the renewed way of seeing this, that was my key that fully unlocked. Oh, there I am. There I am. Which then set off the next steps of then wanting to leave nursing, to then listen to this calling, to then wanting to do the work that I do today, etc. So yeah, it was the sledgehammer wake-up call.
Yeah, unfortunately, like we have these small arrows that hit us, but the sledgehammers follow if we don't listen to the small ones. Reaching out to your family sounded like it was a mission critical moment, but it also requires a huge amount of courage, and it is one thing to have knowing that we've got people around us and who might be the people we can reach out to, but it's a whole nother thing to put a voice to what might be the scariest thought in our mind at the time, and to share that with the people that we love the most. What did that support mean to you at the time?
Ali, the support was always there. I just didn't let it in. And that comes back to that little girl, that 6-year-old little girl that's just like, I have to have my own back. I have to have my own back here. I'm not going to let anyone, can't trust anyone. I've only got me to rely upon. So I guess I tried that for a lot of years, and I've really, really now understood that it just can't be done. This life can't be done without others. This life can't be done without the support of whether it's family, whether it's friends, whoever it might be. So the rallying around, it changed the course of things, because my mum was the one who spoke to someone at the Austin Hospital where she was volunteering, who then spoke to her husband, who then spoke to Professor Jackson. And then Professor Jackson said, I'll see her as soon as I can, which usually takes 6 to 9 months. And I was there 3 weeks later. So, that support, like I said, it was always there, and I just needed to let it in. And when I did, it was like everything could work beautifully in my favor. I just needed to open the door.
Have the courage to listen to it. What was the key that the neurosurgeon gave you?
I love this man so much. I love him so much. He said to me, my parents were either side of me and I was sitting in the middle. He said, Kat, there's no doubt you've been dealt a shit card. And he said, there's no silver bullet here. There's no quick fix silver bullet. He said, but I reckon you can be pain-free, which I had never heard before. Never heard before in 6 years. It was always, you take this and manage this and do this and do this. But he was like, I reckon it's possible for you. And he said, but you got to want it. I was like, are you serious, bruh? Are you full serious? And he said, now I know that may sound offensive. He said, but all I've heard you say is that you don't want to be in pain. I don't want to be in pain. I don't want to be in pain. I don't want to be in pain. And he said, so all your brain is hearing is pain, 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 pain. And all you're doing is preventing yourself from being in pain. So you're not involved in life. You're not going out with friends. You're not moving your body because you're like, I don't want to be in pain. So I was like, all right. Schooled number 1 point, tick. But the true key was, he said, an Olympic athlete will train for their gold medal because that's what they so very much want. They don't want to not get a gold medal. They want a gold medal, right? So they will train for it. They will eat, they will sleep, they will move their body, they will see their friends, they'll not see their friends, they'll journal, they'll train, however it is they need to train so that they have the best chance of getting that gold because that's what they want. And he said, Kat, I need you to want something with as much tenacity as an Olympian wants a gold medal. I was like, this is interesting. And he said, close your eyes, which I found really awkward because I'm like, this is not my jam. I'm not used to any of this type of stuff back then anyway. And he said, just tell me what you want. tell me what you want. Close your eyes and tell me what you want. And I said, I want to be free. I want to be free to be me. I want to be free to live my life. I want to be free to be happy. I want to be free to dance. I want to be free to be nice to people again. I want to be me. And he said, cool. Tell me what you look like when you're like that. So he said, close your eyes again. I said, I'm in a field and I'm really relaxed and there's this beautiful glow about me and there's this warm feeling there. And my clothes are just like kind of, easy breezy. And there's this real contentness to what I can see and what I can feel. And he said, cool. Here's your invisible prescription. He said, every day I want you to imagine her. I want you to close your eyes and imagine her for a period of time every day, 5 minutes. And when you imagine her, feel what you feel. And then ask, what's one thing that you can do in favor of her? And I was like, what the hell is this? What the hell is this? I'd never heard of it before. Like, we didn't have Instagram or Facebook. Maybe we had Facebook, but there was nothing about this stuff that was as accessible as it is now. It was very new age back then. So I was like, what is this guy on about? And he said, do it every day. Don't miss a day. And come back to me in 12 months. And that was it.
Wow.
I was like, what? And I said to him, okay, if I do this, I would like to not be on medication. I would like to give this the chance, the truest chance. And because I was on, even though it was a very strong drug, I was on the lowest dose. He said, you can actually go off it because it's the lowest dose. I said, okay. So every damn day I would fight the pain that was in my body. I would fight the very gnarly thoughts that were in my head that were saying, this is a waste of time. This professor doesn't know what he's talking about. You're going to be a bitch to your partner. You're going to be a bitch to your brother. Your boss is going to fire you. Because I'd only been at my new nursing position for 3 months. And I was like, I have to have brain surgery. I'm sorry. So I really felt, I was really, these thoughts in my head were giving me a run for my money. But I was at my wit's end. And I thought, no, I'm giving this a go. 12 months. It's not long in the grand scheme of life.
Yeah.
And that became my practice every day. And the message that I always got was to move your body, Kat, and engage with life. Move your body, engage with your life. Because I was doing neither of those things. And, yeah.
Incredible there's a part of me that goes, the fact that it was a professor telling you as well. Brings power and weight. Like, often we think the medical model is, this is as good as it gets. Here's either a treatment or a pill or a prescription. So to have, as you say, the power of the human behind the title really shift that for you. No doubt, when all of those doubts going, who is he anyway? What does he know? Oh, well, actually.
He knows a lot.
So to help counter all of that would have been really powerful.
Yes.
Did that feel like one of the very first times you were able to articulate what you want? Where you talked before about the women that you coach, who you work alongside, we don't often have a space to even hear ourselves say that. Was that part of your experience in that moment?
100%. 100%. Prior to that, it was always, I don't want to be this fucked up. I don't want to be like this. I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be in chronic pain. I wish I wasn't like this. I wish I wasn't like that. It was never, I'd love this for myself.
What do I want?
I'd love to be free, or I'd love to consider what else I might like to do with my life. It was always in the negative. It was always what I didn't want. And so, that coupled, that the clarity of, okay, I now know what I want. I want to be free, coupled with the vision, and that being so intoxicating, then coupled again with two very clear next best steps, that and being very dedicated and disciplined to it. Dedicated, disciplined, and being prepared to play the long game, which I had never been prepared to play before, ever. That was the absolute recipe for this worked out for me.
What was it like to step away from nursing?
Scary. Really scary. Really, really scary. There was a lot of, even, it's interesting, even with the chronic pain, right? There was a little gremlin belief that said, if you're not in pain, no one will care about you. You're right?
Yeah, wow.
If you're not in pain, no one will care about you. And so the same kind of there was some really big things that I had to come up against in terms of belief systems. And it was the same when I was a nurse. You've made it. You've made a really good name for yourself in the nursing industry. You earn good money, got a lot of security. If you leave this, you'll be a nobody. You'll be a nobody, because I left it with no community, no network. All my network was in the medical field and nursing. So to jump into open water was, I remember that day. Oh my God. I knew it's what I wanted to do, but then the reality of it was like, what am I doing and what have I done? And it was it was not easy. It was not easy.
Yeah.
It was not easy.
Who were the people that turned up and helped you to stay in open water for a little while?
That's such a good question. My brother, definitely my brother, because he had left his corporate-y sort of job and backed himself to start his own business. So he got it. And I needed people in my life who got it. So definitely my brother, a friend of mine at the time, Colette. And then I sort of just met people along the way, like practitioners, my kinesiologist or whoever I might have been seeing at the time, who they were my voice of belief when my belief was wavering. When my head started to go underwater, they're like, it's all right, just keep paddling, you got this, just keep breathing, keep your breath slow, one bit at a time. So it was a pretty small circle in the beginning. But yeah, they were my key people.
So powerful just to have that counter, because we can't trust our brains and our thinking sometimes because those narratives run. Whilst we can trust some of that voice, it can get derailed quickly. So investing in
very quickly.
One of the things that you have created is a movement around zero fucks. Tell me a little bit about that movement, what prompted it, and what have people connected with about it?
Yeah. So once I had when I was healing myself through that brain surgery, chronic pain stuff, and 10 months later being chronic pain free, doing the visualization and then acting in favor of my future self, I was like, what the hell have I done? And I want to do it again, right? So I used that model. I still do. Where am I at right now? What is it that I would love? Okay, how does that look? How does that feel? Let me get the full sensory experience of it, and what steps do I need to take? Like, that has literally been the foundation for everything that I now experience and get to live in today. So there was this one day I had written down an intention, which was to create wealth, make money from doing what I love and through expressing my creative passions. So I wrote it down, and I was doing a little bit of journaling on it, and I went upstairs and I did my usual dancing practice. Just put on music and had a little rock and roll. And then there was just this little voice, which I've gotten very used to listening to, very used to, because I don't want any more gnarly wake-up calls. It said, record it. And I never recorded myself dancing before that. And I had an Instagram page then. It was, doing okay. But that's when Instagram was very much a photo-based platform. So I recorded it. I'm like, okay. And then sat down on the couch, and then just same little voice, share it. Share it with your community, and let them know that this is something you do. And I'm like, how? No. H2O. Not a chance. And I was then battling with myself. Saying, same thoughts, Same thoughts. Who, like, you know, who do you think you are? As if you're going to share this. If you share this, people are going to think you're an idiot. They're going to think you're a loser. You're going to get rejected. You're going to get backlash, yada, 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 yada.
I'll be taking it down in half an hour anyway. So
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, so there's just this beautiful stubborn part of me that works now well in my favor. I go, fuck it, I'll just do it. when it feels right, you know, when it feels true. And I thought, fuck it, just share it. Like, just share it. Who cares? Like, literally having this conversation out loud with myself. And it was a Tuesday that I shared it out. And I must have written something like, giving zero fucks and sharing this. This is a practice that I practice, you know, that helps me, blah, 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 blah. Through the phone, once I pressed post. And like I said, it wasn't, we didn't have Reels back then. It wasn't a video-based thing back then. So I then later checked it, and there were a lot of people sharing, just seeing you dance makes me want to dance. Just seeing how free you look makes me want to feel that too. Can't wait to see more. Can't wait to see more next week. I'm like, more next week? What are they talking about? And it then just became this, okay, maybe I'll share. Maybe I'll share it again. And then that just so happened I picked the Tuesday to do it, which kind of then became Zero Fucks Tuesday. And what sort of happened over a 6-week period was then people started sending in their videos. They started sharing their videos. They started tagging me in their videos, saying that they're giving zero fucks and they're going to dance. And this was like Ali, I had no intention of this. You know, I really, really didn't. But this is, I think, the beauty of, you know, having an intention, listening to your intuition and taking action on it. And so that then, after, you know, a good few months where people were sending things in all the time, it really did become a big movement. Corporate places were reaching out saying, can you come and, you know, do an exercise with the team here, or can you do an opening Zero Fucks thing for our launch of our product or whatever it might be? And I'm like, what the hell? But then I'm like, holy shit, I set this intention to create wealth through my creative expression. But it just happened so naturally. And then someone said, hey, do you want to run a big Zero Fucks dance party on a rooftop in Melbourne? I'm like, oh my God, no.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
I actually said no, because if no one comes, it's going to be really bad if no one dances. Anyway, I ended up saying yes. It was pissing down rain, and I was like, yeah, not cool. This is not going to work. This is going to be shocking. No one's going to come. And the motherfuckers came in droves. It was sold out within a few days, and they were running up the stairs dancing, and everyone was just drenched wet. And that was the very first Zero Fucks dance party. And it you know, I think what people get out of it is it's that freedom. It's that moment to go, I'm not going to care right now about what they think I look like when I dance, if I'm a good dancer. And so I'm going to let go, and I'm going to let myself be free for 75 minutes. I'm going to let myself just, there I am on the dance floor. And that's what happens. That's what happens at these dance parties, where you see people come in a bit timid, a bit rigid, a bit bleh, and then 10 minutes in, everyone's BFF. Everyone's high-fiving. They're doing the train. They're doing the worm. People are, you know, made friends from it. People have gotten married out of it and had kids. And it's just, it's so simple and it's so beautiful.
Yeah, and I think that's where those powerful messages are. It's a space where people drop the whipping crack, right? Like the way you were talking about that sense of having to be relentless all the time. You get to leave it at the door. But also in your sharing, I think it's that because it wasn't curated, and there are plenty of amazing things that are curated, so I'm not saying they're not, but because it wasn't, it was that small voice, even for yourself to go, oh, fuck it, put it out there and wait and see, that sometimes we don't even know where, when we are being true to ourselves, where it might lead. And
Amen.
we can't even try and predict that, but allow it to be whatever it needs to be.
Yes. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Yeah.
With authenticity and tuning back into the voice, our own voice, and even that story, gives me tingles to go, there are definitely times, and not at that level, but I'll send a message to someone. I'm like, I just know it's the right message, and I won't even think about proofing it, just send it. So it's those little moments I think we can tap into. Is there ever a downside to being authentic, or a sense of, so some of, and maybe the context, some of the work that I do is in leadership and in corporate environments.
Yep.
And there can be a mantra around being an authentic leader.
Yep.
But it can be a permission for arsehole behaviour. How do we navigate that for ourselves while still being true to ourselves? Is there a shadow side to be mindful of?
Definitely. There is only, like, the true self is only the true self, and then we have a false self, which I call the ego. Someone can call the inner critic, some can call some can call the ego, some can call whatever it is they want to call it. I talk about it a little bit in my book, where we can weaponize authenticity. We can absolutely weaponize it if we are not in tune and not in check with our ego. So some people can use authenticity, like their egos can wrap around it and say they're being authentic. I'm just expressing my feelings. I'm just saying what I want to say. And so you just have to accept that because I'm being true to me. And it comes with like that, almost like that cockiness, like I get to say whatever I want to say because I'm being true to me. It comes with, that
drop the mic and walk away.
Exactly. And that's not true authenticity. True authenticity, I mean, I believe it's very heart-led. It's very heart-led. If someone is in their true, authentic self, their true self, we are considered, we are responsible, we are respectful, and we are to serve the truth. The truth may be uncomfortable, the truth may not be palatable for everyone, but it's the way that we go about sharing that truth that has a very different take, whether it's weaponized authenticity or true. But I know what you mean, because some people can use, cool, I'm going to be authentic and I'm just going to spray all my shit over everyone and be like, all right, that's it. There it is. Just being true to me. So there I am. And that is where we and those people will need to really take a good look at ourselves, because we're not actually being true to our true self. We're getting caught up in the hype of the authentic train and kind of going, cool, I can use this to my advantage. And it's got nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I think that's a great reminder, and true for all of us, right? Because the ego shows up, and it shows up in ways that feel completely justified. And if we're hurt or others are hurting us, then that can be an easy spray to come at. If we are being true to that voice, obviously we live in social environments, whether it's our closest relationships, our families, our friends.
Yes.
And we want to share that, what's important for us. And that can be those small things about what I need in a day, how I'm going to use my time, how I might start my morning. But we don't do that solo. It has an impact on other people. What have been some of the nuances in the way that, or the things that you've learnt about, if people are listening, going, how do I be true to me and still really understand that my kids need to be taken to sport and they need lunch made, but I'm just not feeling it and I'd love to go and sit in the sun this morning. How do we navigate that as well?
Yeah. really great question. I talk about the dance of authenticity, like that it's a forever dance. And there's going to be seasons of our life where living true to who we are, if we haven't for a period of time, and then we want to live it all of a sudden, and you got young kids and they're going to be taken everywhere, and you got a busy schedule and you got a busy life, where, all right, you're going to have to be a little patient here. You're going to have to be a little patient here, because then you have the possibility of blowing up your life, right? If you have gone from, I have no idea what authenticity is, to, oh my gosh, all I want to be is authentic, but my life isn't allowing me to do that, so I want to now like divorce my life. When really, you know, if you do some true work around it, maybe your life doesn't need to be divorced. It's just, okay, where are the pockets? Where are the pockets of my life where I can show up as me? How can I begin to communicate to my partner that this is something that is really important to me, and this is the pathway that I'd love us to take? What do you reckon? Or depending upon how old the kids are, like, hey, kids, I'd really love our mornings to be a little more calm, a little more easeful. So you know what? I'm going to get up an hour early, and I'm going to get you guys up half an hour earlier, so that we're not rushing out the door and I'm not screaming like a banshee, and then by the time you leave, you hate mum and then I hate myself. Right? I get that's going to be dependent upon the kid's age as to whether you can have that conversation, but you can still have simplified versions of that conversation. Depending upon what phase and season of where your life is at, sometimes we can just rock and roll straight into authentic land and make the big sweeping changes, and other times we can't. And that's the dance that we have to dance. Sometimes it's the waltz, sometimes it's the cha-cha, sometimes it's salsa, and like we can make the changes, and sometimes it's lyrical, and it can drive you mad and it can drive you crazy, but it's still possible. It's still very possible. Like there was a client in my book, Lynn, who her kids, yes, granted they were older, but she was very busy in real estate, married to her husband, and we did a lot of work around like just slowing her down. She was always there for friends. She was always at certain meetings. She was always baking something. And she started to not want to do a lot of the things that she was doing. She wanted to take a nap in the afternoon. She wanted to wake up without an alarm clock. She didn't want to bake all the things. She didn't want to go to that particular meeting. And there can be that approach of like, fuck it, fuck them. I just won't go. I just won't do it. They can just deal with it, right? And I will always say to my clients that we don't want to take that approach. Right? We don't want to take that approach. That's the, I believe, you know, the irresponsible approach. Talk to people. Let them know. Like, let them know. And if they don't like it, if they don't agree, if they want to challenge you on it, then that's for them. But communicate where you're at and communicate where you're going to your husband, to the people that usually can rely on you, so that you're clean within yourself. You know, that you're clean and you're aligned within yourself. And she did that so beautifully, where her husband, all he did was just backed her and supported her, because she kept him in the conversation. She kept him in the conversation. She wasn't like, I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I'm going away and you're not coming and da da da. And so therefore he could have easily gotten his back up, not been a fan of it, and made it really difficult. So it's a dance. And I'll also say this too, that sometimes people, depending upon where we work, and sometimes it can be our family members, especially on Christmas Day, they're used to a you that you now no longer want to be. And sometimes you bringing your renewed self, or coming back to your who you are self, can create a lot of tension, right? I've had to learn this along my way, that sometimes it's actually not safe for me to be me around certain people. And I would rather protect my peace and my energy and myself and my conversation, and kind of not dull myself down, but just kind of be in neutral mode. You know, just neutral mode, not going back to who I think I should be around them, and not going into, this is me, you have to accept me, and we're going to have an argument about everything because I don't agree with anything that you're saying and you don't agree with anything that I'm saying. And that's a dance too. That's a real dance too. So yeah, there can be difficulties with this authenticity path. It's not just like, damn, cool, everything's great, now I'm me. It's, oh, there's some people around me that they have no idea what to do with me. They have no idea what to say. So either I can create tension, more tension, or I can look how to preserve my peace.
That's so powerful, because it's a mirror, right? It can be that reminder of, oh my gosh, I wish I could do it, but now I'm seeing this, and or I got more out of them by the pigeonhole that I had them in, but not ultimately A, diving into those conversations, but then B, not letting that pendulum swing so far that you go, well, it's not working, so clearly I'm shit again, and just go back to who I was, but protecting me and those conversations. I also think small things make a really big difference. I remember a number of years ago someone saying to me, and I was going through a lot of that, felt like I was giving a lot to everyone else, and they said, just I want you to write a list around what are the things that nourish your soul. And I remember almost being pissed off by the task, because I'm like, I thought you were going to ask me what my goals were going to be and how I can work really hard to get those goals. I'm like, what's this shit about what nourishes my soul? And what I wrote over the week was things like hearing my kids laugh nourishes my soul. I live on the Gold Coast, so swimming in the ocean nourishes my soul. And what blew me away when I looked at the list was, particularly hearing my kids laugh, I'm like, I can engineer that. I can tickle them. I can have, an experience where I don't have to wait, but I could go, that's a thing that we do before we go to school, in amongst the chaos, in amongst everything else, that when I hear them laugh, it had this amplified experience as well. So small things can definitely make a big difference.
It's usually
the big changes,
always
of course,
the way.
are there. Yeah. So coming back to you, Zero Fucks movement really took off in a way that you hadn't planned. Dance parties, you've then written a book, Authentic, you lead groups, you get invited to come and speak on stage. And because of the sharing of your story, I have no doubt that you hear some really big things from people around you. How do you hold space for others while staying really grounded within yourself?
It's again a great question. I think if I take myself back to the earlier years, I would often, it's like my metric for this was a good talk, or this was a good session, or this was a good collaboration, was what people had to say, or the expressions on people's faces, or how many people messaged me afterwards, or whatever, right? So needing that external validation. And I wasn't aware of it at the time. So I very much lived off it. I lived off it until I started to run my Sunday meds events. So then it was mainly during COVID, maybe a year before COVID, but every Sunday at 9 a.m. I'd go live on Instagram and do a Sunday meditation. So it was pretty solid for, I don't know, 2, maybe 3 years. And then I started to run them in person when COVID finished. I noticed that need for the external hit. I was like, oh, I can actually see myself looking for this. And I can see myself, what happens when I get it and what happens when I don't. And I'm like, my work has begun. My new level of work has begun. So what am I going to do about this? And it was really about re-looking and shifting my metric of success when it came to serving. And no different to how you asked at the beginning of what does authentic mean to you, about that relaxed, at ease feeling. When it comes to being of service and it comes to sharing on bigger scales, my metric of success is if I shared from my heart, I'm good. I'm good. I'm really good. Because that's the greatest honor that I can do, one, for myself, and then two, for another human, is to share from that place. And so I still, I still very much get messages, and people will stop me in the street or in sometimes really strange places. And now it's just lovely. It's just lovely to hear. And I can walk away going, oh, what was Steve and I talking about just before? Well, that person came in and spoke, as opposed to clawing on to it for the whole day, or something like that. So that shift in metric has allowed me to stay here and also welcome in what people have to say, so that I'm not overwhelmed by it, or so that I don't rely on it. Yeah.
Important in order to keep turning up. Otherwise,
Correct.
It's exhausting.
Totally. That can't be sustained. It can't be sustained like that.
Kat, do you have and it might just be a point in time now, a book or a song or a quote that helps to bring you home to yourself?
The words that I currently live by, there's lots of words, but there's this one that just keeps coming back. And they're my own words, well, maybe guided from something. Trust the timing of your life, Kat. Trust the timing of your life, which comes to another quote that I can't remember who said this one, which is, what's meant for you won't miss you. And that keeps me so grounded, Ali. It keeps me so grounded. What my ego might want to rush, what my ego might want to push for, what my ego might think should be happening now, or comparing to what someone else is doing, it just brings me back home. It's like, darling, 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 trust the timing of your life, because every time you have, my God, it has blown your little mind. So that keeps me really settled in my boots.
Which is a beautiful way to flow into my next question. So we are chatting in May of 2025. You've talked about this being your 40th year on the planet. What's exciting you about what's next?
What's exciting me about what's next is that I've been introduced to, you've probably heard of it, or let me know if you haven't, Carl Jung's The Morning and Afternoon of Life. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
I just was introduced to it the other day, or the other few weeks back. And it has been this interesting shift. At the start of this year, someone said to me, a number of people said to me, so you've written a book, what big plans have you got? What are your big dreams? What are you going for? Like, what's next on the Cat John Empire agenda? And I'm like, oh my fucking God, I actually have no idea.
Dinner.
Seriously, fucking dinner.
Yeah.
And I loved that. The reply that I gave was, I actually have no idea. And I have then been sitting with that, wondering why I don't have the same, I used to set lots of big goals, lots of big dreams, lots of big intentions, and let's do this and let's do that. And for the last couple of years, even the book, yes, I had a desire to write a book, but I kind of thought I was writing that at 50, and then Penguin reached out and I'm like, that's interesting. All right.
Trust the timing of your life, Kat.
Trust the timing of your life. Trust the time. What's meant for you won't miss you. And so I have been dancing with the morning and afternoon of life, and that I'm now moving into the afternoon of life, and that I, still have desires and dreams and intentions, but a lot of it is different because, Ali, I've worked deeply to build the life that I have yearned to live, and I'm fucking in it. I'm in it. And so what feels really true for me moving into my 40s, Kat, enjoy it. Let yourself enjoy it. Let yourself enjoy all the 8 areas of your wheel of life that used to be totally shit, and now they're pretty freaking good. That's it for me right now. Right now in this season, that's what my 40-year-old self is inviting me to do.
You know what, Kat, as you say it, there's something in me that goes, even that is courageous. Like, when else do we actually stop and enjoy and not be striving for the next thing?
Yeah, I know. And Carl Jung says, if we are in the afternoon of life and try to live by the morning sun's rules, we'll go neurotic. We'll be neurotic. And don't get me wrong, it's scary. Like, I feel, here we go again. The stories are, are you fucking serious? You're 40. Stop being lazy. Come on, you got to work your ass off. So then maybe it's 60 you can do this. Maybe it's 60 you can enjoy your life. But this way that is invisible inside of me, that keeps talking to me, says, no. Let's really, in these back innings, continue to listen, continue to trust in the timing of your life and the voice that comes from within, and create from that place and really enjoy it. Yeah.
And to sit in those seasons and to be scared and to enjoy it and to soak it up, even in the fear and anticipation. I think there's a real lesson and reminder there. My eldest is 17. He'll finish school this year. Yeah. And I couldn't be more excited for him about what life has to hold. And he will have a gap year, likely move away, which is everything we have desired for him. And we had a big family holiday last Christmas, and it was because my husband and I said this will be our final Christmas with the four of us. And everyone I've spoken to about that has said, oh, they'll come back. They'll come back. They always come back. And I'm like, yes, but it is then by choice. Yeah. And so it's different. It is completely different to sit in that and not try and hold on to it anymore.
Yes.
Of course we'll have Christmases together, of course, but it is different. Yeah. And that's hard to sit in that courage, but also enjoy that moment. So
I love that, to not try and hold on to it anymore. And that's like, so you're in that season, I'm in that season of like, let go of the morning of life, Kat. Like, you've done a lot with it. You've done a lot with it. Let's see what this afternoon of life what's that got in store? Let's see what life is like when your boy moves away and it's you and your hubby and you're like, hey, what do we want to do?
Yeah. Where do we need to go and flow? Kat, I'm sitting here with goosebumps because there's part of me, even that inner voice is going, yes, listen to that. I think what you've shared, there's really actionable pieces. Just come back to our body, what feels right, how do I turn up, and even let go, and that small things can make a really big difference. Obviously, we're going to share all the links where people can continue to follow you, can dance with you on a Tuesday or any day of the week.
Any day. We're like every day. Yeah.
Can have you come and obviously be a part of any events that they have, but also your Sunday meds are really powerful. Kat, the name of this podcast is called Standout Life. When you hear that term, what does it mean to you to live a standout life?
First thing that comes is the Frank Sinatra song, I Did It My Way. Because I reckon if you do it your way, you're going to live a pretty outstanding life, right? And if you're living life your way and it's an outstanding life, then that's pretty damn good.
I think it feels apt to have started with music and to end with music.
Yes, true. I didn't even mean it.
No, we did it perfectly. I've adored this. I adore you, Kat. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ellie.
Once again, thank you so much for tuning in. If you liked what you heard in today's episode, please don't forget to subscribe and also share this with someone who might also get value out of this episode. It's what helps us to continue to bring these incredible conversations. And if you want to be a better leader at work or in your business, then I want to tell you about pragmatic thinking. We help people just like you build stronger teams, healthier cultures, and true leadership confidence. We do it with a background in psychology and behavioural science combined with nearly 3 decades of proven experience. Thousands of incredible organisations trust us to level up their leaders, and potentially you will too. So please visit pragmaticthinking.com or check out the show notes below. Until next time, have a fantastic week.